Another Yu-Gi-Oh! NAWCQ has come and gone, and some very interesting things both did and did not happen during this main event. I'm not talking about the person who had a seizure mid-match and the person who dropped a generational brown mid-match. No, I'm more so talking about the winner, the aftermath of the event, and the thing that was not actually present. So let's talk about the NAWCQ, but first I want to talk about what my experience was in the NAWCQ, because this was my first nationals. Now, as you guys know, I'm doing a series called Starting From Scratch. We're in our second season, and I tried my damnedest to get my event invite for this Nats, and I went to 4 different regionals, and I could not top a single one. Now, I understand that there are last minute qualifiers in NAWCQ. I just decided not to do it. And the reason being was that, yes, I could have stressed about trying to get my invite for the series and be like, oh, this is the final push, but I decided to play some side events instead, because when I went to YCS Orlando, I didn't play a lot of the side events. I played the main event for the entirety of the first day, and then I played a couple of side events for day 2, but if you've ever been to one of these events, Sundays, they end at 3 o'clock, and whereas the rest of the time, you're cut off for everybody else for all the side events is about 6, 7 o'clock. So I wanted to experience as much as I physically could, so I entered a few events. And for the advanced format ones, I did decide to use my sealed only Blue Eyes deck, which kind of, at first I was discouraged because I didn't really like my participation, or not my participation, but didn't like my placements in any of these. Mainly because I didn't really top any of these events. I was able to get enough points, and I'll show you my prizes here in a second. But I didn't top or get any grand prizing. And my biggest disappointment was in the Attack of the Giant card, because they have a Slide for the Sky Dragon jumbo card and a Obelisk the Tormentor jumbo card. And the winner got enough tickets for one of the giant cards, which is like the big ones you see in a bunch of YouTubers' backgrounds, whereas Obelisk and Slifer are about half the size of that. So you get enough tickets for one of the giant ones, but one giant one is the same price as 2 jumbo ones, so I was going to get Slifer and Obelisk. But with a sealed only deck, with the current build of the deck, which you guys will see in the next episode of Starting From Scratch, I made it to 4th round, which, again, at first I was kind of disappointed at, and I talked to my friends about it. I was like, yeah, I played, and I was playing Blue Eyes, and I was kind of disappointed with my placement, and I was talking about some of the combos. One of my friends goes, wait a second. You're using your sealed only version. And the reason being is because I was naming off cards that he knows I use in the sealed only version because I don't have yet. And I was like, yeah. He goes, that's incredible. I'm like, how? He goes, because you're not playing a super optimal version of Blue Eyes. He thought that I had bought the cards to make optimal Blue Eyes and was playing it, where no, I have not bought any of the more optimal cards for a stronger Blue Eyes list. I'm trying to get those in the series, so I decided, so anytime I play Blue Eyes in real life, I'm using this version for extra practice. So you put in perspective that if I had used a more optimal deck, I could have probably gotten at the very least 2nd, if not taken the whole thing. And the only reason I lost that event was because the last deck I ran into before getting dropped out was Lunalight, a deck I knew nothing about. I at least know somewhat about Vanquish Soul because the friend who was telling me this plays Vanquish Soul, so I have an idea of what to hit and where to hit it. Not so much the new cards now, but you still have to use the older strategy, just now it's more consistent with the new cards, so I kind of had an idea of what to hit and where. So, with that perspective, I was thinking about all my placements in the side events where I did play my Blue Eyes deck, and I'm actually pretty happy with how it turned out. I'm happy that it was able to turn heads like it did. So, with that, I got a bit more faith in this. I just gotta lock in some locals, and I can start winning locals. The other deck I was going to bring with me, I didn't really bring to win. I brought to turn heads, and it was my Gate Guardian Cash Fiendsmith build. If you guys haven't seen that, I made a pet deck about that. And I did play one event with it, and my goal wasn't necessarily to win with it. My goal was to turn heads and get eyes on the deck, which it actually did, because one play I did was I was able to use Kashira Unicorn, I used Fenrir, Special Summon, add Unicorn, Labyrinth Heavy Tank in hand, Normal Summon its own effect to place in the spell and trap card zone, Labyrinth Wall, placed in the field spell zone, activate effect, place the other one. I did Fiendsmith combo second. The first combo I did was I banished Kazujin and Suijin from the field to bring out Gate Guardian, Wind and Water. Then I linked to into Moon into Requiem, and got out Caesar Valius, or King Caesar. So now I have a Summon Negate and a twice per turn Spell Trap Negate. As well as any interruption I had in my hand at the time. I don't think I had that many. I think I had a Ash in hand and maybe an Imperm that I could set. But other than that, that was pretty much the only interruption I had. But people were the people on my left and my right were looking at my field going, what are you playing? What are you up to? Which makes me happy. As much as I hate to admit it, Gate Guardian I think is my favorite deck. It would be Exodia if Gaia Soul had come out super early and it just did more, and Ankh just didn't have that stupid bum ass sentence in it that said you cannot summon for the rest of the turn. Also, shuffle all your stuff on the field back into the deck. But that's a rant for another video. But I digress. It was a very fun time to play Advanced with the Blue Eyes and the Gate Guardian deck. I think I set out what I meant to do with both decks. The second event I entered was Rivalry of Warlords, and I made an entire video talking about how they souped up that event in another video, the one I posted previous to this one. If you want to see how they souped up in better detail the Rivalry of Warlord events to where it's more worth playing than ever, I highly recommend go checking that video out. However, the condensed version of this is, I think the event is more fun, but it needs to be tweaked a little bit. I think in the format where you put in as few hand traps as possible so that way your opponent can still play the game, certain decks do not need certain cards and do not need floodgates even if they're in archetype. A little bit of spoiler for the video, one of the decks was Mimigul, and Mimigul has Mimigul Fairy, which says you cannot special summon from the hand for the rest of the turn, which most decks do. So you're kind of limited in what you can do with certain decks. So other than that, I think the Rival Awards event went off pretty well, and the only other event I played was Speed Duel. I would have loved to play Edison or Goat. I just didn't have a deck made in time. I was going to make an Edison deck, and then they announced the new Edison stuff, which we will get to later. And they announced the new stuff they're going to do with Edison, so I decided to not build Edison and focus on Advanced. But I did play Speed Duel. I built the Winged Dragon of Ra for Speed Duel because of course I did. And this is my second Speed Duel event ever, and it was the main event because the person who was showing it to me said, hey, we have more people joining this. If you want to get into a Speed Duel event that's actually going to kick off, your odds are better off going to the main event as opposed to just the normal constructed event. Which, in his defense, you do get a bunch of stuff placed from 1st to 8th. However, because the format is stagnant, there are pretty much only a few decks that are worth playing, and 2 of which are control decks. And the people playing said control decks, they were able to take a game called Speed Duel and slow it down to a crawl. And in these events, if you don't know, when it comes down to time, if nobody lose the life points, if nobody lost any life points, then it goes to first blood. What that means is you complete your turn. If you did not do any damage on your turn, it goes to your opponent's turn. The second you take damage, you lose. That is what this does. Neither player really was doing any damage. It was just control. It was saying, I play this card, you can't play this card. I play this card, you can't play this card. And essentially, they turned a 45-minute game into about an hour. And about 55 minutes in, I decided I don't want to deal with this anymore. I'm dropping. Which is a shame because I do like Speed Duel. I do like the format. It's just because it is now a stagnant format, there's not much that you can do with it in terms of like advancing and stuff like that. One hope I do have, if they aren't going to make any new Speed Duel products, is I really hope that they make a rule saying that you can use TCG cards in Speed Duel. Not saying that you can use any TCG card. What I'm saying with that is if it exists as a Speed Duel card, you can use that card from the TCG to make it more accessible to other people. You still have the players who want to get the Speed Duel cards because they look nicer than TCG cards, but then you also have the people who want to just casually play Speed Duel and just will be able to get their TCG cards that they already have and be able to get into the game much easier. I didn't really buy anything while I was up there either. I was very lucrative with my money because the friends I went out with, they wanted to eat out to like restaurants for damn near every meal. And though I didn't join them for every outing that they did, mainly breakfast, I ate hotel breakfast because that's free. I did join them for mainly all the dinners and most of the lunches. So the only thing I really bought was I bought 2 copies of Ultra Fulos. And I wish I bought them a day earlier because the vendor I went to, they were 15. I thought about it. And then by the time I was like, okay, I'm gonna pull the trigger, they were packing up for the day. So I was like, okay, I'll buy them tomorrow. The next day, they bumped him up to 18, which I think is very scummy. I don't think that they should be allowed to do that. But I get it, you need to make your money on these events. So I still went ahead and bought the 2 Ultra Fulos. So now I have my playset for my personal use, because recently I've been taking the Fulos from the Starting From Scratch deck, and my biggest fear is that I'm going to enter an event and I'm going to forget to put the Fulos back into the deck, and I'm only going to have 1 Fulos. So that was pretty much the only thing I bought, but because I did these side events, I was able to get enough tickets to get a few items. Mainly the thing I got were playmats, because everything else is really expensive. So the first playmat I got here is this sweet Obelisk the Tormentor playmat. The second playmat that I got should be no one's surprise. It is the sweet Slifer the Sky Dragon playmat. Both of these come from the Egyptian God structure decks, and it's a shame that we never got a raw one, because I would love to have a raw playmat. So Konami, you should definitely make a raw structure deck. I promise you, I will buy it. I do not care how bad it is. I will buy it, and then when you make a mat for it, I will do everything in my power to win it or run someone for their foams, I guess. This is a disclaimer, that was a joke. I would not steal this from somebody, I promise you. And the final one I got, I had a few tickets left over, so I decided to get the Legacy of Destruction playmat, because Gandora is not one of my top favorite cards, but I do love Gandora. It holds a very special place in my heart, so I decided to get it. And I do plan on doing something with these playmats for like back here. I don't know if it's going to be exactly where y'all can see it, but I do plan to put it back here somewhere. And that was my experience with the NAWCQ. Now to move on to things that had nothing to do with me. And first off, that is the winner of the NAWCQ, a Mr. Wilfredo Flores. So first off, big congrats to you. Now, something that Wilfredo did, it was very interesting, is because he signed the lens of the camera at the NAWCQ, and which you don't do that. You really don't do that, because those are expensive. Now, what everyone was expecting Konami to do was for him to sign it and give him a fine, being that he has to pay for a new lens, as well as banning him from any other Konami events. That's usually the Konami thing to do. But in a rare instance, Konami not only gave him all of his prizing, being all the prize cards that he's promised, plus a Steam Deck, plus the actual lens that he actually signed. They let him keep it, but no repercussions were made for this. Now, one thing I do think Konami is going to do is whenever they have the cameraman, I do think the cameraman is going to be told, do not go near the winner at any cost. Do not go near him. Just zoom in on him. Do not get within arm's length of these people. And for every Konami W, there is a giant L to fall after. It just seems that like Konami wants people to play this game and they make a bunch of W's. Like here recently, they just announced that in the new 5D's Junk Synchron revamp deck, not only we're getting Chibi Stardust Dragon and Chibi Yusei token, but they're reprinting Meows in it, Mo Charming Meows, which is so nice in this format, and tells me that one of two things: either A, it's going to be a common because they're going to hit the shit out of Malice and it's not going to be needed anymore, or Malice is here to stay and they ain't going to do a goddamn thing about Ybinder. But unfortunately, where they backpedaled the initial decision to get rid of Edison and Goat format, replacing Time Wizard with Time Travel, they have pedaled back the pedal back, I guess. Essentially what Konami has done, they have been starting taking to OTS stores and telling them to not count any Edison or Goat formats that are not Time Travel, rather Time Wizard. So one of the bigger OTS chains has made a post on their Discord saying that they will slowly be phasing out traditional Edison and Goat and be replacing it with the Time Travel format as per Konami's rules. Now this is the only OTS store that we have gotten this news from, so I still have a little bit of hope that this is just kind of like a miscommunication thing, and that people are seeing this and are freaking out, because rightly so, and that, you know, they'd be able to rectify this. Konami make a statement saying, hey, we're not doing away with this. This is an old email that we sent out. We haven't sent out the new email yet. This is our fault. please disregard the initial email. But if they were doing that, I feel like they would have made that post by now, which they have not, which unfortunately means they still seem to be, at least at a local level, currently getting rid of Edison and Go format for this weird time travel thing. Now, I did make a video here on this channel. I did make one on my TikTok of talking about it, and I do think that this is really scummy. I do think that this is it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense. It makes sense because there are rulings in Edison and GOAT that some judges did not play during that format. They were maybe just kind of casually playing with friends, and then later on down the line, whenever priority became a thing and new cards came out, new rulings, they decided to super get into the game competitively and then become a judge. So now not every judge knows these rulings for these formats, and the judges that did no longer do the judging for these games. So it makes sense in a way that, like, it's advanced rulings, so the judges just go by commonplace card knowledge for advanced, but that's not the game that came out back then. This is an imaginary format that was introduced in Master Duel. And even then, if you want to use Master Duel as a way to teach people this format, you're going to have to put this into the game permanently, because the format that was in Master Duel was around for like 3 days, and nobody could learn how to play this properly in 3 days. It was a fun format, but nobody can learn how to play this game that fast. But the other part that doesn't make sense to me is that why wouldn't you just make little pamphlet books? Like, reprint the rule books from the 2 dates that you constantly use for Edison and GOAT respectively. Reprint them and make a box at your big events for judges. And I don't mean like regionals, I'm talking the big ones, YCSs and nationals, where as many judges are going to be there as possible, and say, take these pamphlets, read it. Or you don't even need to make a pamphlet, just take a PDF and email it to like a judge bulletin board or whatever, and say, here's the ruling from that time period, read it and study it. And if there are confusing ones that are confusing for the time, just come out and make a hard stance and be like, both arguments for, or all the arguments for said rulings do make sense, but this is what we're going to do just for simplicity and for ruling purposes. And then just make that public, make the PDFs public, so that way people can read them and figure this stuff out. It's almost as if Konami doesn't like the old format fans, and they do exist. They do exist. There wasn't as many people at these Edison and GOAT events before. I think Edison topped out at 200 players total over the weekend, but that's because a lot of them were at the other one from where you did this to begin with. Think about it like this: 200 players went in to the official Konami Edison tournament. Around 200 people. 256 people went to the RBET tournament that was super close to it. And I'm not saying that there wouldn't be overlap. I guarantee you there are going to be players that either A, scrubbed out from that tournament and went back to the official one to play in those, or B, finished it Saturday and then went into Sunday to play more of it. So let's just say around 350 to 400. We'll say 350 to be generous on the devil's advocate for Konami in this. That's still 350 people that are willing to play Edison, and that's not one time. There's not just one Edison event. I think there were about 50 Edison events that fired off across all 3 days, maybe more. And if there's 350 people paying $15 each time, let's do some simple math here, Konami. That is $5,250 that you could have had all the players been there and you had not done this to begin with. Now, am I saying that this covers everything? No. Am I saying that there were 350 people? No. There could be more, there could be less. I'm using this as a rounded number, but still. And that's not counting any events they're playing in between the Edison events that might be going on. These people could also be playing Attack of the Giant card. These people could also be playing Speed Duel. These people could also be playing GOAT. They could be playing regional qualifiers. They could be playing LCQs. They could be playing so much more. But because you did this initially, they went to somewhere else to play, and you lost all these players, and you backpedaled to try to get them back. Not all of them came back. What you should have done was sit down and say, hey, we screwed up. We understand. we hope to see you again in the next YCS, where we'll be playing Time, Wizard, Edison, and Goat. I don't understand. I do not understand it, but that is I think that's everything that happened around Nats, both the aftermath and the during. I do think that this Nats was successful in the sense of, like, there are so many decks that were represented, and Orcust of all decks won. The two best decks are Mitsu and Malice, and Orcust won. That's just crazy to me. But that is everything in the Nats. If there's anything you guys want me to talk about, please let me know in the comments down below. Talk about yourselves in the comments. Talk amongst yourselves. Let me know what your favorite moment in Nats was, whether it be something big that happened that was newsworthy, or just something that happened to you personally. Let me know what your favorite thing that happened in Nats was, your favorite moment if you went to Nats. And if you didn't go to Nats, let me know what you plan on doing when you go to Nats next year, because we all know that you're the shit, and you're gonna be able to get your invite between now and next Nats. So with that being said, I'm gonna get up out of here. Guys, you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that like button, comment, think of the video, make sure to hit the subscribe button, helps me as a whole. I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.